You'll get a discount at the barbershop. And let me see, first we've got BJ, a Cat 2 international referee from South Carolina. Give him a round of applause. Executive committee member, ladies and gentlemen, state chair from Massachusetts. Big round of applause for my pal, Mr. Eric Cordero. He's going to be lifting tomorrow, right? Sunday, I knew that. And ladies and gentlemen, he's a former world record holder in the bench. He hails from Michigan. A big round of applause. Category 1 international referee, as signified by the red tide. It's the highest level you can get. Big round of applause to Jack Marcus. And my friend from, she used to be in Texas, now she lives in Michigan, real close to Jack. Do you guys go out on a Friday night? All right. She hails from Michigan. Big round of applause. Technical controller, Jen Croker. Mike Powell, I've announced a couple of his competitions. He runs meets. He's a powerlifter. He volunteers more than almost anybody out there. Big round of applause from Chicago, Illinois, Kevin Serrano. And he maybe does volunteer more than Kevin, this next guy. I see him everywhere I go. He comes from Atlanta, Georgia. Big round of applause for the Cat 2 international referee, David Goodwin. And last, certainly not least, he's a national referee. His name is Alex Walters, and he hails, I'm getting it right for the first time, Indiana. Give him a round of applause. And don't forget, folks, a big round of applause for the Blue Mountain College Spotting and Loading Team. Give them a round of applause. All right, everybody get to your positions. We are going to start momentarily.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for the third and final session of day one for the 2024 USA Powerlifting Youth Equipped and Bench National Championships. We do have 3 different divisions competing this weekend, and we've seen a phenomenal first 2 sessions with our youth lifters, and now we're going to see our equipped bench-only lifters compete this afternoon. My name is Nick Stevens. I'm a USAPL coach, commentator, competitor, referee, all sorts of things. And I'm joined by the one and the only.
Hi, my name is Katie DeGuider. I am a USAPL athlete, competitor, coach, and referee. And this is my first time commentating on the Barbell Productions show.
You're gonna do great. It's not as stressful as you make it out, as we make it out. I promise. You'll fall into a groove fairly quick. But let's go ahead and get a nice little screenshot of what our action's looking like on screen here. So first we've got Miss Ann Whitmarsh. Very easy opening attempt there for Ann. So let's kind of go over what we're seeing on the screen here. So folks, as I said, this is our equipped bench-only session. Okay, so any of our lifters feasibly that are competing later on this weekend in the equipped category could also have competed today. So they're kind of double dipping here with their equipped bench opportunity. But it's still going to be run the same way as a full power bench meet would, or how bench would in a full power meet. So we're going to go through our entire flight of lifters, and then once everyone hits their openers, we're going to go up to the second attempts, and then the third attempts, so on and so forth. We have 3 total flights, excuse me, of benchers today. And if I'm not mistaken, please correct me if I'm wrong, Katie, but I don't believe we are taking that many breaks. I know we're taking breaks in between attempts, but in between flights, I don't think we're taking any breaks.
No, so the only requirement in full power meets is that there's a 10-minute intermission in between lifts. Since this is a bench-only meet, they just go directly from one flight into the next.
There you go, folks. So after we get through all of this, so we'll go through our first flight. All of our lifters will do their attempts, and then we'll go into flight B, and then we will go into flight C. All right, we've got Miss Susan Paxson coming up next. She's going for 52.5 kilos. And we do have all age divisions represented for this for the bench only equipped. So we've got all the way up from, we even have some teen lifters all the way up to Masters 4 lifters. So a wide range of athleticism we're going to see on the platform today. And now, Katie, you mentioned you were a referee, and if I'm not mistaken, I know we talked a little bit before this, you've done a few bench-only meets yourself. What are some things that the referees would be looking for in terms of like commands for equipped and raw?
Yeah, so I did compete. I was at Bench Nationals last year and had a really great time. For the referee side of bench press, there are 3 commands that the lifters have to wait for. There's start, press, and rack. So once the lifter unracks and they're in a good starting position with their butt down, feet on the floor, and arms locked, they'll get start. Once the bar is motionless on the chest, they will get press. And then once the referees believe they're locked out, they will get rack. And they have to wait for all these for it to be a good lift.
Excellent. And then so one thing it's a little bit special about this session here. This is exclusively equipped bench only. And so all of our lifters today are going to be wearing what's called a bench shirt, which is a form of supportive equipment that lifters can opt to use that it does allow them a performance advantage. Obviously, it does allow you to lift more weight. However, it doesn't necessarily allow you to lift more weight than another person because you'd be wearing similar equipment. So what the bench shirt does is it constricts your arms forwards. So you can see Miss Joy walking back, her arms kind of pitched in forward in front of her there. The arms do pitch forward there, and it ensures that that bar, as it's descending to the chest, is creating as much elastic potential and elastic energy as possible so that you build into that stretch and then fire out once you get that press command. Going along with that, some different tips that are a little bit different or a little bit different than you'll see from an equipped standpoint than a raw standpoint. And one of these actually comes down to the different color cards that we'll see. So Jackie, not Jackie, I'm so sorry, Katie. I don't know why I called you Jackie. Katie, what is a red light for bench, and almost like why do we never see it?
Yeah, so a red card on bench, specifically, you can have a red light, but a red card on a red light means that the bar failed to lower to the chest. You don't normally see this, especially in raw lifting, because the lifter can easily bring it to the chest, but sometimes in equipped lifting, it can be harder to actually lower the bar down to the chest because you have that elastic on your chest. So if you get a red on a red, that means that the bar did not fully lower down to the chest.
Yep, and then there are other infractions as well that come along with the bench press. So you mentioned that there is a red on red. There is also red on blue and red on yellow. So if any of our lifters get a red card and there is a blue square or dot underneath, that would indicate that there would be some up and downward motion possibly in that bar path. So the bar has to maintain a consistent vertical motion all the way up. It cannot dip back down or anything like that. And then failure to complete is, or soft elbows is the other blue card, right?
Yeah, so failure to complete would be a yellow card.
Yellow.
But if the ref believes, so it looks like you got the weight up, but their elbows aren't fully locked out, that's when you would get a blue on red. And then the one other color card is a yellow on red, and this could essentially be anything else. This means that they did not complete the lift based on strength. Their butt could have come up, their feet could have, like their heels could have come off the floor. Basically any other infraction would be a yellow card. They could have missed a command. Yes, that as well.
Ooh, good grab there by the spotters and loaders. And that's one thing that's pretty tricky about the equipped bench press here. You know, because that shirt is so restrictive, it only allows you to move in a very finite plane of motion. And like we saw there, if you're not fully locked into that plane of motion, that bar can go all sorts of places. And it's very common for the bar to go towards the head, especially since the bench press, in a general sense, is going up and back towards the rack. And so, like I said, it's very common for folks to for the bar to collapse on people's faces, but that's also why we have face savers and 3 spotters, so that doesn't happen. So glad to see Alyssa came out of that safe. She did miss that opener, but she'll likely come back and retake that for her second attempt. Up next is Miss Elizabeth Richardson, Masters 3 lifter. This is 209 pounds. It's a very clean attempt there for Elizabeth. 3 white lights. Coming up next is Miss Jill Arnow. Now, if I'm not mistaken, Miss Jill is the state chair of Massachusetts and is a multi-time national bench champion in many weight classes, many divisions. So Jill Arnow, no stranger. Jill R, no stranger to the platform. Let's see how she does with this opening attempt here at 97.5 kilos, 214 pounds. And now we saw Jill take a little bit of time to talk to that head spotter there before he gives her that lift off. Why do you think that might be?
Yeah, so one thing that can be pretty important to do, especially in equipped lifting, is getting a good lift off. So usually as a coach, I tell all my athletes, go to that spotter, tell them exactly how you want your lift off, tell them how heavy you want them to take it, and where on your chest you want them to bring it.
Exactly. I do a similar thing with my lifters. I say, tell me exactly how you want your lift off in 7 seconds. Because all of our lifters, while they do have that 1 minute time frame, I've seen a few cases where the lifter looks like as if they're in a full conversation with that back spotter, and that kills a lot of their time, especially if they have a longer setup. So super important that we not only give that spotter a very accurate description of what that is, but in a very fast manner as well. See right there, Miss Sophia Veras. I think that was all of 3 seconds. She let that head spotter know exactly how she wanted it. Now she gets set up with plenty of time left on the clock, 40 whole seconds. Sophia, a multi-time equipped champion as well. $286 for her opener. Goes up in flames. 2 white lights. 3 white lights, excuse me. All right, bars coming up next for Miss Jade Dickens. 300. Sorry, I had to read that again. 314 pounds on the bar for Miss Jade Dickens as a Masters 2 lifter, so she is between the ages of 50 and 59. Now, I just hope to still be walking by the time I'm 59, let alone benching 3 plates for my opening attempt. This is pretty nutty right here. All right, Miss Jade gets the lift off now. Again, this is 314 pounds. A majority of my young male friends couldn't attempt to bench 3 plates. And Miss Jade is out here blowing it up. Ooh, finish the lockout, finish the lockout. I was going to say there's a little, and I believe a lot of that was misgrooved, and like we were talking about earlier, it's very easy to misgroove with deadlift, with the bench press, especially if it's equipped. You saw the wrists kind of start to buckle under the bar a little bit, and then once that happened, the shoulder or the elbows started flaring, the lats started getting untucked, and it just goes to show something very, very small, something very minuscule in how the weight moves can determine whether or not you even finish the lift. Coming up next is Miss Natalie Richardson. 336 pounds for the ladies' 82.5 kilo lifter. Now 82.5, that's 181 body weight?
I believe so. And after this, she is going to compete in the raw bench only tomorrow morning as well, which she also does exceptionally well in.
Also, there's an opportunity for some of these lifters to compete 3 times this weekend. They could do equipped bench, raw bench, and they could do equipped nationals.
Yes, that's correct. Maybe if there was a youth lifter, they could have done all of them.
That, you know, I don't think they do equipped youth. I don't think that's a thing. It'd be cool, but I don't think it's a thing. Up next, McKenna Henderson. And folks, we're just gonna keep adding weight on the bar here. 160 kilos, 352.74 pounds. Tree fitty on the bar for Miss McKenna Henderson. She is officially reaching very close to my current all-time PR, and she's about to open with it. It's a little disheartening, but it's okay. And now, Katie, you said you're competing tomorrow as well, yes?
I am, yes, at 8 in the morning tomorrow.
Bright and early. So Katie mentioned earlier that we have our raw bench only tomorrow morning, so she will be competing in that. We wish her all the best. Another bobble there with McKenna, and like I said, just going to show how if you're not entirely locked into that one plane of motion and there's any sort of deviation in that bar path, it could really make your press out a lot more turbulent than you imagined.
Yeah, you can see even if she was going to finish that lift, there's a little bit of downward motion there, but she'll come back and get it on her second attempt.
Coming up next is Miss Alicia Webb. Now, I remember commentating Miss Alicia Webb at Open Nationals last year, prime time. She was one of our only Masters lifters that made it into a primetime session, and she did exceptionally well. So good to see her back on the platform. And this is, according to LiftingCast, this is the heaviest opener of any competitor in the equipped bench only arena, which is quite insane as a Masters 2 lifter. Here you go, Miss Alicia Webb. Very clean press out there for Miss Alicia Webb, and she's coached by Josh Rohr, a longtime partner of USA Powerlifting and coach trainer as well, part of our USAPL coach education program. And very, very knowledgeable. His whole team is on competing with equipped powerlifting, and very knowledgeable on teaching it. And just goes to show Miss Alicia Webb, originally a raw powerlifter, able to come in here and blow up an equipped bench like that.
And that brings us back up to the top of the flight with Ann Whitmarsh taking her second bench attempt at 45 kilos.
That is 99 pounds, ladies and gents.
And she is in the Masters 4 division, meaning that she is 70 to 79, still here competing.
A little grim, but I don't even know if I'll make it. That's a lot of years left. That is a lot of years. But to be able to come out on this stage and perform is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. All right, we're able to get to the chest. Can we find the triceps to take us to the lockout? Yes, we can.
And it looks like she gets it. Let's see what the refs say. 3 white lights for Ann.
Got another awesome angle here from our friends at Barbell Productions. Shout out to Kevin Lamb, Bryce Lewis, Jan Dario, and all the folks behind the scenes that are giving us all these angles. Excellent grind there. You can see all of our points of contact stayed in place here. The feet, the butt, the shoulders all stayed in contact with the bench or the floor. So that is a good lift. Now here's Miss Susan Paxson. Taking just a little bit of extra time to let that head spotter know how she wants that lift off. And everyone is very specific. Everyone wants it a certain way. And maybe the first time wasn't all that great. Maybe she was a little out of groove. So giving the spotter a little bit more correction. It's always better to over-communicate than to under-communicate.
Yes, one thing I also say is spotter likely does not remember you from this flight of people, and they don't remember how you wanted it the first time. So just another reminder telling them the same thing.
Beautiful.
Nice job, Susan.
It was an easy second attempt.
I imagine, let's see, that was 52, go to 57. I imagine she'll probably go 62 or 65. I think she's good for at least 67. But who knows? Miss Susan might be competing in other competitions this weekend, so we might want to save what energy we have. And that's an interesting concept to think about too, this being a bench only meet where you don't have to think about squat or deadlift beforehand. How do you think that plays into, you know, how heavy they go for their bench, or how much they try to give for their bench versus if, you know, they've got deadlifts after that? What if they fry their back on bench?
Yeah, you know, as someone who's competed in bench only meets, it's fun to just throw, like, take your third as heavy as you can go. You don't have anything to plan for coming after. But at the same time, bench is a very finicky lift where 2.5 kilos could be too much to jump to. So you still have to play that smart.
Exactly, especially as we're talking about our equipped lifters. I mean, yes, obviously equipped allows us to load a little bit more weight on the bar, but we've also got to be sure that we're able to fully utilize the bench shirt so that we can actually press that bar off the chest rather than building all of that force to the chest. Beautiful press out from Miss Joy Black. 3 white lights. Up next is Miss Alyssa Saunders. Or sorry, Tish Horn is up next. I apologize. She's going to go up 2.5 kilos, followed by Miss Alyssa Saunders and Elizabeth Richardson.
I will say one of the fun things about bench only meets is in full power meets, the only third attempt you can change is your third deadlift. So in full power meets, you cannot change your third attempt. You do not get attempt changes, but when in a bench only meet, you do get these third attempt changes for your bench.
Wow, okay. All right, here's Miss Horn, 187 pounds, locked and loaded. Okay, now she's able to press it out, but I did see some up and downward motion here.
Yeah,
Yep.
so 3 blue on red cards means that there was downward motion in that lift that all 3 refs saw.
Now, from your perspective, let's say you're the head referee here. What are you looking for to determine downward motion aside from, like, the bar going down? I mean, does it matter if it's going side to side like this? Are you looking at the whole bar?
Yeah, as the head ref, I look at the center of the bar. So say one side dips down, but the center of the bar still travels up, I would give that a good lift. But in her case, it looked like the center of the bar did dip down.
Mm-hmm. All right, here's Miss Alyssa Saunders. Now, she did miss 87.5, so she is retaking that. Looked like it got a little bit too forward onto the head there. She might have misgrooved it. Let's see. Much better. She's able to press it out. I didn't see any. Okay, well, there we go.
Yeah, so it looks like she got those because a yellow card could have mean that it looked like she jumped the command, or the downward motion looked like she started the press, went back down, and then finished it. That little bump right there.
Okay, yep. So
is
she
what
touched
got
the
it.
chest, kind of hovered, went back down, and then pressed back up.
Yes. So that could count as, to a ref, that could look like she jumped the command, or it could be considered downward motion is maybe what they saw there. So I imagine that she's going to take that again for her third. She has the strength. Now she just has to narrow down those commands and hold it on her chest until she gets that press.
Are you guys overruling that one? Well,
Interesting note here, another thing that our lifters could be called on for the equipped bench is if that bar ever touches the belt, it is going to be a no lift.
Yes.
And that's only because it is seen as a sort of support, right? You know, obviously if you put a belt on, that does effectively raise the height of your body, thereby decreasing the range of motion.
Yes, I forgot to mention that earlier. That would also be a red on red, because that would mean if the bar makes contact with the belt, that means it didn't make contact with the chest. And that is not specific to equipped lifting, because in raw lifting you can wear a belt on the bench. But you do typically see it more in equipped benching.
And that's normally because with these bench shirts, like I said, we see Ms. Jill Arnaud coming up to the platform now. Her arms are kind of cocked in front there. The bar, or the shirt, almost forces you to bring that bar further and further down on your chest, so that one, you get a shorter range of motion, but two, you're able to actually get the bar to your chest.
Yes, and I had talked to an equipped lifter once who told me that they like to wear a belt while they equip the bench because it helps keep the shirt in place.
There you go. It's actually really smart. I think I've heard that before, which is very smart. Because the last thing you want is that shirt slipping on you in the middle of a 300-pound bench and
Yeah, of course.
leaving it to the will of the higher power. Here is Miss Sophia Viras. Again, no stranger to the national platform. Both, I believe she's been to nationals raw, but I know for a fact she's been to nationals equipped multiple times.
Yes, and she, I believe, was the equipped champion at the Arnold in the equipped pro finals.
That's right. She is your pro finals champion. Very technically proficient. And not only a phenomenal lifter, but someone who just does the work of powerlifting, does the job of powerlifting. They give back whenever they can. I know for a fact she worked as a jury member for a lot of high school nationals as well as a referee. She gives back to a meet basically every other weekend. She coaches her own lifters, handles every other weekend. So just one of those folks that is a well-known figure in the powerlifting sphere, and we're grateful we get to see her again on stage.
Yeah, she actually just handled me recently at Collegiate Nationals. She is an excellent coach.
She's funny, too. She's just funny and goofy, and I appreciate that. Here's Miss Jade Dickens, 314 pounds. We are back up to the 3 plates. Now, we did miss that first one.
Yeah, she is retaking this for her second attempt. So let's see if she'll nail it down this time.
All the focus, all the intention. We're at the chest. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. It's going to be a rack again, unfortunately. So kind of the same situation there that we saw with Alyssa, and hopefully we won't see this with McKenna coming up here, but and kind of a larger note to equipped bench. It's a lot more common for folks to bomb out on equipped benching, only because of how technically dependent it is. And I mean, obviously we know Miss Jade has the strength for it. We know Alyssa has the strength for those lifts, but due to the confines of the shirt and a lot of the other things going on, it's a lot easier to miss lifts when you're not fully locked in like that. And so it's a lot more common for folks to bomb out. Now, this is a bench-only meet, so there's technically no bombing out. It just means our lifters didn't post a bench for this portion of the competition. But we obviously want to see all of our lifters on the board.
Yeah,
Here's
so
McKenna. Oh, go ahead.
not only do we see this with bench, looks like she did not get that second attempt. I imagine she's going to take that again for her third. But not only do we see this in bench with the bench shirt, but at Equipped Nationals later on this weekend, they use wraps for squat, which can pose a similar problem. You are depending on that elastic squat to keep you in position. Yeah, so that is a common problem with equipped lifting, unfortunately.
All right, now here's Natalie Richardson. Going up to 352 bones, ladies and gents, 160 kilos. I don't know if y'all can hear Gino in the background, but this is just over double body weight here. or just under double body weight, excuse me. Ooh, all right, we found the lockout. Kind of like what you were alluding to earlier, Katie, if the bar is able to be pressed out and the sides come up unevenly, that's perfectly fine, so long as the middle of that bar doesn't dip up and down.
Yeah, and so that side ref, from their point of view, it likely looked like the bar dipped down. But if it's only one side, that means you have the head ref looking at the center of the bar and the other side ref looking at that. And up next, we have Alicia taking what looks like an American record attempt.
That's right, 375 big ones. Now, like we saw with our youth lifters, they could take increments less than 2.5. Now we're getting to the older folks, the open lifters, the equipped competition, and so now we have to get to our normal increments of 2.5, unless it's an American record attempt. In that case, you can increase your next attempt by 0.5 kilo of what that record currently is.
And it looks like this should be an open American record attempt because per a new rule change, you cannot chip, as in go up in 0.5 from what is just an age division record. So if she's taken 170.5 and competing in the open division, this should be an open American record attempt.
And that's an American record attempt for Miss Alicia Webb. Not just for the Masters, but for the open equipped women as well. Miss Alicia Webb currently has the strongest equipped bench of any 100 kilo lifter in USAPL history.
And that was an easy attempt, so I imagine she'll be breaking it again on her third attempt. The American record on his second attempt is very impressive.
I imagine we're going to see many, many more American records broken throughout the day. We saw, I believe, close to 30 or 40 records between state and American being broken this morning and the previous session. So looks like we'll see more of the same for our lifters in this session.
Starting off our third attempts for the day, we have Ann Whitmarsh.
That's going to be a rack call there. Unfortunately, not able to find her way once that transition of the press goes from the chest to the triceps. That's where we find a lot of people's sticking points, and that just means they're in a spot where they can't go anymore. They're stuck. Everyone has a sticking point in some way, shape, or form with all of their power lifts, squat, bench, and the deadlift, and so with the bench press here, especially with equipped, a lot of that does happen coming off of the chest, wherein a lot of that elastic energy that's built into the suit is spent by the time you get to that point. Here's Miss Susan Paxson, Masters 4 lifter, going for 132 pounds. Katie, what are those spotters doing up front? What are they doing over here?
So she has blocks in there, and it is allowed if the blocks do not have enough friction with the carpet and they slide, you can ask for spotters to stand in front of them, so you have just as good a grip on the ground as if you're a normal carpet.
Wow, that was very clean. Susan Paxson.
Very easy third attempt for her.
All right, and we're going to keep on rolling, going up 2.5 kilos to 77.5 for Miss Joy Black. Looking to continue a great run, 2 for 2 so far. The ladies' Masters 2 bench press. There we go, coming up to the bar now, letting that spotter know exactly how she wants that lift off. And now Miss Joy Black is fresh off of a meet, just 2 months prior having competed at the Masters World Cup.
Yes,
Full power
I
and
believe
raw.
I just saw her there when I was working that meet as a referee.
What a finish there. Miss Joy Black. Lift is good. 3 white lights. We see the celebration there.
Getting all 3 benches at a bench-only meet is basically equivalent to your 9 out of 9 at a full power meet. So it is a good feeling to go 3 out of 3.
And Miss Black's competed on the, like we said, she competed at the Masters World Cup, so she has been on a world stage. So this might as well just be a warm-up for her. Coming up next is Miss Tish Horn. She's going to retake 187. Looks like she misgrooved it just a little bit on that second, so we'll see if she's able to maintain her composure, maintain her intent going into this third attempt. See if she can complete 187 pounds.
If I remember correctly, she got some downward motion on that second attempt.
No misgrooves there.
That looks like a good lift to me. Let's see what the referees say. 3 white lights for Tish.
All right, Gino, you're a little bit late. Up next is Miss Alyssa Saunders. Now, like we said, this isn't a full power meet, so it is just bench. So if Alyssa doesn't make this, she can't technically bomb out. It just means she doesn't post a bench for this portion. She is competing, I believe she is only competing in the bench press equipped portion for this weekend. So I don't know if she's coming back for equipped later on. But in order to post a bench press for the bench nationals portion of the weekend, she will have to make this lift at 192 pounds. Let's see what she's got. Come on, Alyssa. That looked good to me. And it is. So she does post a bench press for this portion. She does come away on the board with that 192-pound bench press. Coming up next is Miss Elizabeth Richardson. Going up 5 kilos. This is 231 pounds, so 105 kilos. I was wondering about that right elbow, if it fully locked out or not, but the judges probably saw it did. Ooh, I should be a referee.
Well, that was a yellow card, and a locked out elbow would have been a blue.
It would be blue, yeah, maybe uneven lockout?
Oh, let's look at that playback.
Because it looked like this arm locked out fine, but probably not this one. Well, maybe. I'm not sure.
I wonder. See, yellow card could have been her butt, her heels, could have been a couple things, but it was 2-1, so she does still get that lift because only one referee said no lift.
All right, here's Miss Jill Arnaud. 237 pounds, 107.5 kilos. Looks like she's done it a million times before.
That is 237-pound bench for Jill. She went 3 for 3.
All right, up next we've got Miss Jade Dickens. Now, same situation to Miss Alyssa. If she doesn't make this lift here, she doesn't technically bomb out, but she will not be able to post a bench press for this portion of the competition. So she does have to make this lift. This is 314 pounds. And, you know, judging even based off of that first attempt, it looked like it was a little bit of a struggle even getting it unracked. And having done about 2 3/4 presses at this point, I'm interested to see if she's able to pull through. I hope she does, because I would love to see her finish this out.
Yes, hopefully she can get some adrenaline going for this third attempt.
We saw her get amped up in the corner there, so hopefully that is enough to take her to a completed bench attempt. Here's 314. All right, we're at the chest.
And Jade, the bar might have dipped there, but let's
I think
see
she
what the
locked it out, but I
referees
don't know
call
if
it.
there's up and down.
Oh,
2 to
yep.
1.
It looks like
The
one
lift is good.
call for red on blue means downward motion, but 2 to 1 means good lift for her, and she gets a bench for this competition. Yeah, so it looks like there could have been a little dip there, but 2 referees said good lift, and she gets her 314-pound bench.
And we're just going to keep adding pounds on, ladies and gents. Here's Miss Sophia Veras. I do hope I'm pronouncing your last name right. I apologize, Sophia, if you listen to this back. Don't hate me. 319 pounds. Looked good. Now, we saw motion back towards the head. I didn't necessarily see motion down. Apparently the judges did, so
She got some downward motion.
disregard everything I just said.
She will be coming back for Equipped Nationals, I believe. So it didn't look like too difficult of a lift, and I'm sure she will be back for this later on this weekend.
All right, up next is Miss McKenna Henderson. She's also in a tough situation here, looking to get on the board for at least one bench here, 352 pounds.
Oh, she almost
no.
had that third bench.
So very close, and I mean, I'm talking at the very last second there. Oh man, let's check the replay there. That was clean all the way up. I mean, press on the way down looked great.
Just fast off the chest.
It looked better than her previous
Almost.
2 attempts looked, but it was
I
just
agree.
right at the end.
Barely missed the lockout. She will be back for that weight at her next meet.
All right, up next we've got Miss Natalie Richardson. 369 pounds. Herself not having missed an attempt so far. Hopefully I didn't just give her the commentator curse. 167.5 kilos. Wow.
It was a nice third attempt for Natalie. Looks like she's
Wow.
keeping some of the tank for a raw bench tomorrow.
That is insane. That was unbelievably fast. That was very, very clean. Good job, Natalie. Now up next, folks, we've got our first world record attempt for Youth Bench and Equipped Nationals. And who else but Miss Alicia Webb, multi-time Nationals competitor, both raw and equipped. Oh, apologies, it's an American record attempt. Got a little, oh no, it is a world record attempt. 402 pounds. And so this will be a world record. World Open equipped record for the 100 kilo weight class.
Yeah, so she'd not only be breaking this world record, but also breaking the American record she just set in her second attempt.
Miss Alicia Webb, coached by Team Roar.
And she locks it out.
I'm losing my mind. 2 white lights. It is a good lift. Miss Alicia Webb, the best in the world. Not only the best in the country, the best in the world in the 100 kilo equipped age division and weight class. And this is not the last we are going to see of Miss Alicia Webb. Chances are she will be competing this weekend in the full power equipped, and we may also see her in the Raw Nationals, or we may also see her at Raw Nationals this upcoming September, so who knows. Excellent job there from Miss Alicia Webb. She'll come away 3-4-3.
And we are coming up to Flight B. It looks like we have the men coming up, starting with Scott Hansen. Will be opening with 50 kilos for his first attempt.
Who's 8. That's his coach, an 8-year-old.
Scott Hansen electing here to go for a self lift off here.
Oh, I almost missed that.
And he's also not wearing a bench shirt,
Really?
which is interesting. So while equipped is generally relegated to those that do wear a shirt or wear some sort of supportive equipment,
You do not have to. If you
I
want
don't
to.
believe you have to.
No, I remember Bench Nationals last year, and specifically Jen Thompson
Ah,
competed
yep,
Raw.
exactly.
She competed Raw, and then she went back out and competed in the equipped division, but she stayed Raw. She competed in equipped, but did not wear a bench shirt. And that is completely legal. You can wear up to an bench shirt, but you can compete in a t-shirt if you would like to. But that does technically put you at a disadvantage towards the other equipped lifters who are wearing a shirt.
Right, it's not often very seen, right? Not often will we have a Raw lifter want to bench Raw up against equipped benchers, but that just goes to show how strong these lifters are in comparison to the strength in their weight class. Jen Thompson able to hang with the best of them and still bench press Raw. Not only that, but for as long as she has is beyond words.
So right here we've got Logan, who is a Teen 2 lifter.
It's going to be a no lift there.
That looked like it could have been a commands issue. 3 yellows on red cards. We'll see that replay.
Gonna come down to the chest fine. Yep, so kind of what we saw earlier. It's not necessarily he was ready to press up, but once he got to the chest, it just bobbled and hovered before it touched the chest again, and so that is still going to be a no lift because that bar ineffectively did go up and down in motion.
But it looked like the strength was there, so I'm sure he will get that on his second attempt easy.
Coming up next is Mr. Josh Rucker. He's going to be opening us up with 303 pounds.
All right, Joshua's opening up with 303.
Josh Rucker blows up 303 for his opening attempt. And now Josh Rucker is what we consider an adaptive athlete, so we do have an adaptive lifter division in USA Powerlifting for lifters that do require other sorts of accommodations. And so Josh Rucker there, he does require a wheelchair. And so he would be in that adaptive category. He's still hanging with the rest of them, and he's still putting up weight.
And it looks like he got
Oh, that was a no lift.
He got one blue and one yellow. Looks like there's not a replay coming up. I'm not exactly sure what happened.
I want to say the blue was up and down motion. I feel like I saw that a little bit.
Yes, blue could have been up and down, but the side ref saw a yellow card, which could have been feet staying on the platform, anything to do with that.
All right, here's Mr. Will Garcia, 308 pounds. Very easy here. Another one of our lifters not electing to wear a shirt, so he is benching completely raw with the rest of our equipped lifters.
When I was at Collegiate Nationals and I saw some equipped lifters working the scoring table, a lot of them took their first attempt raw and then put on their bench shirt for their second attempt. I don't know if that's what these lifters are doing, but I believe it is a tactic to make sure that you get your first attempt, maybe to get yourself warmed up, and then they put on their shirt before their second attempt.
It's bold strategy. We'll see if it plays out for him. Here's Mr. Paul Stein. He's going to open up with 314 pounds for the men's equipped open 90 kilo weight class. And that's exactly what you were saying. Perfect call there, Katie. William Garcia, like we just said, he did his opening press raw and did 308. Now that he is on the board, he's going to slap a shirt on and go all the way up to 212 and a half kilos, which is well over 450 pounds.
Yeah, so it looks like he will likely come back to his second attempt with his bench shirt on, taking that huge jump from 140 to 212.5.
314.
Here is Noah Barbosa, 142 and a half kilos, so we're going to take the same exact weight. Unfortunately, that was a no lift for Paul Stein, so he's going to retake that.
Same weight with 314 pounds on the bar for Noah.
Breaking the trend, he is wearing a bench shirt. That's going to be a good lift. We're going to go up quite a bit now. 17 and a half kilos to 160. So 352 pounds for an opening attempt for Mr. Calvin Height.
Here goes Calvin, 160 kilos.
It's like Calvin taking his time to get set up under that bar. Like we said, everyone's setup is very, very different, and everyone's setup is very individual, but extremely crucial to their success with the bench press, not only from a physical standpoint, but from a mental standpoint. If that lifter is able to get a solid lift off and is able to get their setup locked in, that tells you that there's nothing prohibiting you from benching whatever's on the bar.
Yes, and every lifter has 1 minute from bar is loaded to get their start command. Some people, I realize, believe that the 1 minute is to finish the lift, but it is just to get that start command. So that's why you can take your time getting hyped up once they call bar is loaded, getting your setup down exactly right, because you have 1 minute to get that start command from the head ref.
Coming up next is Mr. Jeff Sussman, 385 pounds. That's right, folks. We are only on first attempts here, and we are already creeping up on the 400-plus realm here Jeff Sussman, 175 kilos.
That is 385 pounds on the bar for him.
He's a Masters 1 lifter, so between the ages of 40 and 49. Dad, if you're out there watching, take notes.
I would love to get my parents into powerlifting.
I would also love to get my parents into power. I won't coach them, but I would love to see them lift.
As we saw with him, his head came off the bench. That is a new rule change with USA Powerlifting. Your head used to have to remain on the bench pad, but that rule has been changed to only, instead of 5 points of contact, is now 4. So he did get a yellow light.
So we see the head come up there.
But that is still a good lift because of that. He did get a yellow light, which could have been for a couple things. His butt could have come up, could have been his feet, but he did get a good lift, 2 to 1.
Not very common either, but wholly possible. Their shoulder might have come off the bench a little bit as well. I might have seen his right shoulder kind of kick off the bench just a hair, so that would therein lose one of those points of contact.
Yeah, those 4 points of contact are your shoulders, your butt, and both of your feet.
Here's Donovan Thompson. Very nice opening attempt there, 402. Donovan Thompson, you might know him as Jennifer Thompson's husband on Instagram. And that's because his wife, Jen Thompson, multiple-time bench press champion, multiple-time everything champion in powerlifting, is right there handling it. Donovan making good use of the head up on the bench here.
And he got 3 whites, so all 3 refs thought good lift.
Here's Brian Albert, 418 pounds. Like I said, folks, we're just going to keep going up and up and up. Brian Albert, as a men's 75-kilo body weight lifter, he actually weighed in at 74.3, putting 418 pounds in his hands.
So he locks it out.
Maybe up and down.
From the refs. 1 red on blue means downward motion, which I kind of suspected, but 2 to 1 means good lift. Only 1 ref saw that little dip in the bar.
And just to put this into perspective for all of our viewers at home, 75 kilos body weight is roughly equivalent to about 170 something, or isn't it 176?
75 is 165.
I'm so wrong. 165.
Yes,
yep.
it is 164 or 165 pounds.
And to be able to put 400 pounds in your hands,
Equipped
and
or
to
not.
be able to successfully press it is nutty.
Yes, even though they have this bench shirt, it is incredible to control that weight, and you are still benching it.
We did say, you know, that shirt does provide an advantage, but it doesn't make you invincible. You still have to bench the weight. Lucas Pribble, 551 pounds in his hands, folks.
He gets it to the chest.
And it looks like he, yep, so like we were saying, that shirt forces you to go lower and lower and lower on the chest as you descend. He might have got a little too low there.
It looked like he really was struggling to touch it to his chest, as he really took some time getting down.
You could see the shoulders start to come out of groove here as well. It started to flatten out, and then it started to fall towards the chest, closer to the belt.
Yeah.
So good grab there by the spotters and loaders. Coming up next is Mr. Preston Savoy Jr., Bench Preston himself. 265 kilos on the bar. 584 pounds.
And this is the last opener of the flight, so heaviest weight of this flight before we move on to flight C.
And he originally set his opener at 275, but went down 10 kilos. And that can be for any number of reasons, but we'll see after this attempt here.
Gets it to the chest. Locks it out.
I'd say that's a good lift on my end. 2 to 1.
1 for downward motion, but 2 white lights means it's a good lift.
And so kind of what I was saying earlier, that taking, like, decreasing that opener there could be for any number of reasons. Maybe his warm-ups weren't feeling all that great. He wanted to be a little bit safer with the opener. Maybe he wants to take a bigger jump going from first to second, which, based off that opening attempt, I don't know would be in the cards for him to take that extra big jump. So we'll have to see. He does get that attempt, though. Preston Savoy is on the board with 265. And now here is Mr. Scott Hansen coming up next. Looks like he's being handled by his son, who just competed in the last session. And I know you see the gold around his neck. So hope we can bring home another gold medal for the Hansen family.
And once again, he's not wearing a bench shirt, just a t-shirt. I wonder if he was here with his son this morning, that's why he is competing equipped today and not in the Raw tomorrow.
Very possible. That was very big brain. Oh my goodness. Thinking in 4D. Good work, Katie.
Self-lift off for Scott. Oh my goodness.
If I could handle my dad at a competition, that'd be so cool. Dad, if you're listening. Or mom. Either or. That's pretty cool, though, to have your little boy come out and handle you.
I think it's so nice to see parents and kids competing together. At my very first meet, I realized that the woman who was behind me in my flight was there with her daughter, who was competing that same day as well.
I love that. And it really is like a family affair, among other things. I know it's super cheesy, but powerlifting in general is in and of itself. I mean, it really takes a village for all of this to happen. It takes the support of the family members. It takes the support of the community. It takes the hard work of the volunteers, the referees, the coaches. There's a lot that goes into play here in order for these lifters to have the opportunity to be able to showcase their strength on the highest stage.
So Logan here took 130 for his first attempt and missed it, and he decided to go up 5 kilos. So 135 kilos and 297 pounds on the bar for him. Oh,
I think that was a good call.
Yep. That looked like a very solid second attempt.
Good call.
3 white lights. Sometimes you just have to take the bold choice. If you miss your first and you have it, you know it was a missed groove, or you know exactly what happened and how to fix it, you can make that jump.
Like kids my age used to say back in the day, sometimes you just gotta send it.
And what's funny about, a bench-only meet, in a full power meet, you have to wait till you get to your deadlift opener to know if you get a total for the meet. But this, you just have to get your opener and you're set.
And like you said, too, normally with a full power meet, you kind of have to wait till deadlifts in order to see even where those placings come in. Whereas, we're only benching. You alluded to earlier, we can change third attempt benches in a bench-only competition. So this, in and of itself, is the competition.
Yeah, and you can get an idea of your placings just looking at openers, and you can start to gauge where you'll be at.
Josh Rucker getting set up under 308 pounds. He did go up 2.5 kilos. He missed that opening attempt for, he got 1 blue and 1 yellow. 1 blue, 1 yellow, yep. So hopefully, if he doesn't get any downward motion, that should get him a good lift. Looking at the elbows as well, might be a smidge soft. We'll see.
Very fast
Final
off
lockout,
the
final
chest.
lockout, final lockout.
He locks it out.
I think that was good.
I did not see any downward motion.
2 to 1. Unfortunately, that is going to be
Same thing.
no
1
lift.
blue, 1 yellow.
Let's check out the replay there.
I wonder
I
if
wonder
the
if it
yellow,
has to do with the elbows.
Well, I wonder if the yellow has to do with his feet staying in contact with the ground. Because that is a rule.
What was it, Jimmy?
No lockout was the blue card. I wonder if that's what the yellow card was as well.
So I remember you mentioned so long, like if the lockout is uneven, that can be a yellow. But if
Really?
the elbow, I think you said something like, hold on.
Yeah, so head ref gave a blue for lockout.
So blue is soft elbows, and then you said if the lockout is... What did you say earlier? You said you worded it beautifully.
I do not remember.
We're doing terrific over here, guys. While we remember what Katie said, Paul Stein's coming up next, 314 pounds. I remember what you said now. I remember. So a failure to complete the lift is a yellow card, and that could entail the elbows. However,
Yes.
soft elbows in and of itself is a blue card.
Yes. Going back, Paul Stein got his second attempt. He retook his first attempt. He got 2-1, but that is a good lift. So yes, a yellow card is failure to complete, and if a referee thinks they didn't lock out and like a yellow could be failure to complete because you didn't finish the lift, that could be a yellow, but a head ref could call blue for not locking out the elbows.
Here's Noah Barbosa, 325 pounds. Up next is Mr. Calvin Height. A decent jump from first to second, so we went 160 kilos first attempt, going up 12 and a half kilos to the second attempt here. Which, even for equipped powerlifting, is a pretty sizable jump. 12 and a half kilos is almost 25-ish pounds, close to it. Maybe a little bit more, a little bit less, give or take a few. And for bench, do what?
Sorry, there is that strategy behind, you know, taking a light enough opener to not tire yourself out, and knowing your strengths and what you can take.
Here's Calvin Height, 380 pounds. Very slow and controlled on the way down. Calvin is. Head is able to come up. What a lockout. An interesting point, too, we saw the head come up there, and that could be something that that rule change is probably a lot more beneficial for equipped lifters than not, only because the descent for an equipped lifter is so much more technically dependent. They're lifting their heads up almost to watch to make sure that that bar actually makes contact with the chest at the right spot. And, you know, for a raw lifter, sure, the thought process there is maybe a little extra momentum off the chest, sure. But for equipped lifting, that rule actually serves a beneficial purpose for them.
Yes, and I believe they changed the rule because, you know, your head coming off the bench doesn't exactly help you, doesn't give you maybe that strength. Maybe in equipped lifting, yes, but I think it was a good rule change deemed not giving any unfairness to lifters.
Not only that, but those of us with long hair don't have to put it up anymore, so that's fun. Here's Jeff Sussman, 400 pounds, 407 to be exact. So we got to the chest.
Oh, he locks it out.
Looks good to me. Again, we saw some of that stop motion on the way up, but it did not go down. Apparently, the judges do not agree with me. This is why I am not a national level ref yet.
One blue, one yellow. Let's try and see what went on there.
The blue is most likely downward motion here.
I saw his heels come up a little bit, and maybe some movement in the hips.
I would say probably movement in the hips.
Yeah, his butt, even just for a second, if it makes a little bit, loses a little bit of contact, that would be a yellow card. So one ref could have saw downward motion, and the other could have seen some rule infraction of losing contact.
And as a referee, that's one of the main things I'm looking for, especially because I don't think it gets called enough. But I'm looking for people's butts to stay on the bench. Like, if I can see any sort of daylight under the legs, if I can see any sort of space whatsoever, it's going to be a red. Here's Donovan Thompson, 407 pounds. 2.5 kilos from a fairly slow opening attempt. Yep, and it looked like right at the lockout there, we started to descend a little bit, so we started to lose that elasticity from the shirt. I imagine he will come back. That is only a 2.5 kilo increase from that first attempt, so I imagine it won't be much more than that, if not the same weight.
Brian Albert is coming out, benching 195 kilos, which is 430 pounds.
And we said 75 kilos is 165 pounds. So to be able to put 430 pounds on your back, please thank you so much for math checking me.
This is
well
2.6 times his body weight. Equipped or not, this is insane to be benching this. This is an impressive weight to put up for a squat, let alone a bench.
Regardless of age group, regardless of division, this will be a spectacle. Brian Albert. Looked like he took a couple steps on the way up, but he never went downstairs.
Oh, one blue, one yellow.
Yeah, I have a habit of commentator cursing these guys. I'm just going to not make my assumptions. Up next is William Garcia. And we did see that Donovan Thompson did elect to retake 185. I imagine Brian Albert would do the same with 195.
Remember, they do get third bench changes, so these numbers are not set.
All right, here's Mr. William Garcia.
Back to what you were saying before, some refs do like to look. Like one ref might be staring to see if their butt leaves contact. One might be staring at the bar to see downward motion. So even if the refs disagree, that doesn't negate anything that happened. Some refs just like to look at different spots because it's hard to look at the entire bench as a whole as a referee.
Oh, it's going to be a no lift there for William. Looks like he just lost the juice right at the chest there.
He took the jump from 140 to 212.5, put
That's
on his shirt in between attempts. So it looks like that could have been too heavy of a bench for his equipped. So he did get his opener of 140, but looks like he will most likely be retaking that for his third with his bench shirt once again.
And that's an interesting thing to think about, even from like a competition handling standpoint. If you have your lifter take that opening attempt raw, and then to come back and almost double that weight while putting a shirt on, do you go back in the warm-up room and warm up for that with the shirt on? Do you just hope and pray going into that second attempt?
Yeah,
Lord
I
only
wonder
knows.
What that strategy is. I have never had a lifter go equipped that I've coached. Lucas Pribble with 551 pounds. Oh, and he locks it out.
That was one of the cleanest benches we've seen, and what a recovery it was.
Coming from failing his opener to a smooth third attempt of 250 kilos.
And folks, we're not done yet. Bench Preston Savoy Jr. for a second attempt is putting on 595 pounds, which is more than I think 90% of the powerlifting population's squat. Let's just put that into perspective. And Preston Savoy is about to put it in his hands and make it move, folks. This is going to be insane. 270 kilos. Opener was a hair slow. Not necessarily misgrooved, but it did have a little bit of shakiness. So going up 5 kilos is a pretty average increase, especially for an equipped lifter here. Able to get that super soft touch on the chest.
Very nice. Even better than his first attempt from what I remember.
Let's look at it again. Look how soft this is. Look how slow this press is here. So gets the unrack here. And like we said, with equip lifting, it's hard to get that bar to the chest. But Preston putting on a master class here. Very slow, methodical, right at the very end, just the slightest touch. And he's 2 for 2 so far going into third attempts. And if that was 595 and it moved like that, I can only imagine we're going to see something around the 620, 630 range.
600-pound bench press would be an insane number to see.
That's untested numbers. Those are closer to untested bench press numbers.
Scott Hansen going into his third attempt with 154 pounds, still not wearing a bench shirt, just a t-shirt. And
Just
he
vibes.
makes that move just like an opener. And that is 3 white lights, 3 out of 3 benches for Scott.
Oh, good little celebration there with the sun. Coming up next, Mr. Josh Rucker. Now, unfortunately, Josh did miss his prior 2 attempts, but we are still going to be going up to 142 and a half. Just making sure that we've got the bar fully loaded for him. Again, Josh Rucker is competing in one of our adaptive categories. Oh, look at that. Head referee Tony Goodwin, or David Goodwin, excuse me. All right, Josh making his way up under the bar now. And again, one of those situations where even though we miss an attempt, we're still going up. And, you know, from a raw standpoint and even further from a full power standpoint, I would make that decision, you know, to go up that small increment from missing if it had something to do with technique or if it was just a fluke, you know, you missed a command or something like that, you just got too excited. Now, if it were something strength related, then going up after a missed attempt is a lot riskier because then you risk missing a heavier weight that you're forced to retake.
Looks like he's got 3 blocks stacked up to make sure his feet stay down on the ground. Oh.
Unfortunately, that is going to be a no lift for Josh.
That is very unfortunate to see, but even though he did not get 3 official benches from a lifter's standpoint, he still finished his first 2, so it's not a complete loss. He still made it here, got out on the platform, and gave it what he had.
To be honest, squat's a better lift anyway, so.
I disagree with that. I am a bench girl. I go to multiple bench-only meets, and I enjoy them.
I've been debating on doing a bench-only meet since I've had my knee surgery, and I haven't been able to actually squat in 2 years. I would probably still get wiped by some of these guys.
I think it's really interesting to see, especially in the bench-only meets, how many more masters lifters there are, for a similar reason of they might not want to squat or deadlift.
Oh wow, call me old and broken. I appreciate that, Katie. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's 319 pounds for Logan.
Okay.
He presses it out well, but did the hip stay in contact with the bench?
Oh.
2-1. Our side judge, Kevin Serrano, saw that, but the other judges did not, so that is going to be 2-1. Good lift.
Yeah, let's look at that replay here.
Look right just past that face saver bar there.
Looks like.
Yep, so we see
Yeah.
the legs kind of hike up there.
But that's why we have 3 refs, and if only one saw it, that is still a good lift.
And not only that, we've also got, it's a decently dark room out there. You know, obviously we've got light shining on the stage, but you've also got 3 spotters covering that area. So just goes to show how tough it is from a referee standpoint to make those decisions sometimes.
Yeah, and that's why at these higher level meets, we do have a jury. So if anything, there's a bad call by refs or anything that goes wrong, someone can go to the jury and contest the lift. Looks like Noah did not get his third attempt of 147.5, but he did get his second attempt of 142.5 earlier.
Bar is loaded. 336 pounds from Mr. Barbosa. Gotta love the support to the spotters and loaders here. Another big shout out to the spotters and loaders. They've been putting on a masterclass this weekend. And a lot of times if you have a spotter or loader for day one of a competition, they're most likely going to be there throughout the whole weekend. So these ladies and gentlemen are going to be putting in some hard work the next couple days.
Oh, can he finish it? Oh, he locks that out. And let's see what they call it. 3 white lights for
Big celebration.
Noah Barbosa. That was a grinder of a third attempt, but he got it.
Calvin Height, Noah Barbosa.
Calvin Height is coming up next with 182.5, which is 402 pounds, back into the 400s on bench.
I don't know if you guys can hear through the microphone, but the amount of support for Mr. Calvin Height for this last bench attempt is through the roof. Likely because this is a 402-pound bench press. This is most likely a very big milestone lift for Calvin. And as an 82.5 lifter weighing under 180 pounds, this is no small feat.
Can he finish it out?
Can he finish?
No.
Looked like as on the way down, looks like his shoulders came out of groove just a little bit. Looked like they kind of rotated forward on him. And you're a bench specialist, quote unquote. So you know that once you lose that good stacked feeling that your shoulders have on the bench press, everything else is a lot harder to try and recover from.
Yes.
Or maybe just me. I'm also just awful at bench. So Jeff Sussman, not awful at bench, or he wouldn't be here. He's going to retake 407 pounds. And these are our final bench attempts for Flight B. And after we get to Mr. Preston Savoy at the end of this flight, we're going to go on to our last flight of bench pressing for the equipped bench portion. Wow.
Very nice.
Now I'm kind of wondering what he got his second attempt called on, because that was flawless.
So it looks like that third attempt kept him in the first place men's equipped open 90 class. And one thing to look at as these lifters go is pro cards are up for grabs for an equipped bench only pro card, I believe.
Here's Mr. Brian Albert, 429 pounds. He did attempt this for his second, going to retake it for his third. Slow, methodical on the way down. Clean lift. This is one of those that we thought didn't have up and down, and this one does not.
And looks like he took he retook his second attempt of 195, came back for it, and he got it.
And now Donovan Thompson going up 2.5 kilos from first to second, and then missing that. He is now elected to go up to 210 kilos, 462 pounds.
That is a 25-kilo jump.
And 25 kilos, folks, that is like 50-plus pounds from second to third. Now, this is a very bold strategy. However, he does have one of the best benchers in powerlifting history in his corner, so you know there's got to be some sort of method to this madness.
I wonder if there was some type of misgroove on the second attempt that he knew he could make this jump. But let's see if he can get this 210 kilo bench press. Oh, he got it off the chest but could not finish it out with the triceps. So there's a no lift for Donovan, unfortunately, but he's leaving with his 182.5 kilo bench press from earlier in the flight.
Here's Mr. William Garcia. Looks like the coach or some involvement in Willpower Strength Club.
I don't know if you guys can hear Gino, but he is saying that this is over 3 times his body weight. And to be exact, a 215 kilo bench press at 66.9 kilo body weight is 3.21 times his body weight. Like I said,
and she did that all in her head, folks.
This would be an insane weight to just pick up, but he is putting this in his hands, he's moving it, and he is benching it.
And now he's our lifter that opened raw and is now going to equipped. What will we see here?
Could not finish it,
No lift.
unfortunately. He only went up 2.5 from his second attempt, but unfortunately that was not there today. He did still get his first attempt, so he is still leaving today with a bench. I don't know if I should call this a total, but he has a bench for today.
He has a bench. Up next is Mr. Lucas Pribble, going up 7.5 kilos to 567 pounds.
This is over 2.5 times his body weight.
And now Lucas, we had a pretty big misgroup on the first attempt. Absolutely blasted it off his second attempt. And then going up another 15 pounds, so we'll see if he's able to maintain that same energy.
I think if he can get in that right spot, not hit any type of misgroove, I imagine this will move great.
And looking at the screen here, folks, I know the weights look super pretty and they're super thin. Don't let them fool you. This is almost 600 pounds on the bar. This is more than most people squat or even deadlift, and Lucas is about to bench it for his third. Let's see what he's got. 567 pounds. We touch. We get the press.
Oh,
3, 2, 1, blast off. Oh, Houston, we've got so many problems, and one of them is Lucas Pribble.
3 white lights and a 567-pound bench press for Lucas.
That is nutty to watch. The most I've ever held in my hands is 500. I can't even fathom anything more than that because 500 hurt. I don't understand. And folks, we've got arguably one of our heaviest benches of the day, if not is the heaviest bench so far. 275 kilos, 606.
This is the heaviest bench of this flight.
We've officially broken into the 600s. Yes, folks, you're seeing that right. That is 5 reds on the bar. 5 reds plus, actually. This might as well be a deadlift for the head spotter. What else could you expect from bench Preston Savoy Jr.? 3 white lights, a perfect run through bench press. Absolutely insane. Preston Savoy Jr., 275 kilos. Let's look at that again. Very slow, very, very soft touch on the chest. And as we know, once we see that touch and it's motionless, that bar gets the press command. Wow, what an awesome effort there from Preston Savoy. And folks, we are going into our last round of bench presses. We are now onto flight C. So after this flight, we're done for the day, folks. We won't see you again until tomorrow, bright and early, 8 a.m. for the rest of our bench press action. But all of our lifters in this flight are now going to hit their 3 attempts. Starting off with Mr. Robert Evans, 275 pounds for an opener in the Masters 4 class.
Looks like this should be a fairly quick flight. Only 7 lifters in this flight. Very quick opener for Robert.
And
125 kilos, which is 275 pounds for the Masters 4 lifter.
Which is insane. And then I know you mentioned there's only 7 lifters in this flight. What effect does that play into like the rest times for each of the lifters?
Off the top of my head, I do not remember the exact number. It might be 8, but once you get past a certain minimum flight number, you will add an extra minute per person to make sure that everyone gets an adequate rest time before they go for their next attempt.
Coming up now, Mr. Gary Pamplin, 418 pounds. That's right, folks. We went from 275 all the way up to 418. And Mr. Pamplin is a Masters 3 lifter. Three, two, one blast off for Gary Pamplin.
All right, so the minimum number of lifters in a flight is 6 lifters. So there will not actually be any additional time for this flight since there is 7. But will just be a fairly quick flight. Yeah, so the way that rule works is if there is a flight of 5 lifters, they will have 1 extra minute. A flight of 4 lifters will have 2 minutes, and so forth.
All right, coming up next, folks, is Mr. Baron Henderson. This is 200 kilos, an opener of 440 pounds.
440-pound opener.
And now Baron Henderson, first place winner for not only the Masters Pro Series finals, but the Masters Pro Series bench finals as well. Multiple time competitor at bench nationals as well as the Masters World Cup.
That was a fast opener, but let's see what the refs say. That was a no lift, unfortunately, because when he locked it out, let's see if we can maybe get a replay. It looked like it bobbled a little bit, which I believe would have been that downward motion.
You don't see that too often.
There we go. Let's see that press out here.
There you go. That was that downward motion. Very fast lift. The strength was there.
It was almost too light.
Yes.
Is what happened there.
Just need to nail down that lockout, and I'm sure he will be back. It looks like I'm sure he'll be back for that weight or maybe even more.
Brian Scott, ladies and gents, this is 485 pounds for a bench press opener. Now Brian Scott recently competed this year at the Masters of Iron Bench at the Arnold, also multiple time competitor at bench nationals.
Oh.
3-2-1 blast off. A little bit of a struggle there once we got to the very end range of that lockout, but that is going to be a good lift, 2-1.
You know, especially with these bench shirts, you might see that sticking point once you get to the triceps, because the shirt is really going to only help with getting off that chest. As we talked about earlier, where that elastic is stretched in the bottom, they might get to that sticking point, but still finish out these triceps.
Coming up next to the platform now is Mr. Nick Benarakis. And yes, folks, you are reading the bottom of the screen right. That is 242.5, which means he is going to open his bench attempts with 534 pounds, ladies and gents. He is Big Bench AS on Instagram.
He is what?
Big Bench AS, I think that's how you say it, but I actually follow this guy now that I remember. I saw the name on his belt. He's a phenomenal bencher, obviously. He's on this stage now.
It looks like this is about 2.2 times his body weight that he is opening with.
And having also competed at the Arnold Bench Bash earlier this year, as well as last year's Bench Nationals. Like a man who's been here plenty of times.
3 white lights.
All right, now, Mr. Tim Anderson. On his way up to the platform now. He's going to open with the second highest opener of the weekend, 600 pounds. And now, folks, if you're familiar with powerlifting or you're have been in the realm for any sort of period of time, that name, Tim Anderson, is a very, very familiar name. And that's because he's the head coach of Midland University Powerlifting, one of the strongest, most well-decorated collegiate powerlifting teams in the country, in the federation. And it makes complete sense that he'd be opening at 600 pounds.
Very smooth opener for Tim. Let's see what the refs call. 3 white lights. That is a good opener.
Now Tim is in the Hall of Fame. Actually, he did just get inducted into the Hall of Fame for USA Powerlifting at last year's Open National Championship. So
it looks like he has 12 Open National Bench titles and 4 World Bench titles. No surprise that he is here dominating at the Bench Nationals.
You better let him know. Here's Jeff Snyder opening with just 2.5 kilos over that, 606 pounds. Jeffrey Snyder. Having competed at Bench Nationals pretty much every year since the early 2010s, ladies and gents. So he is obviously no stranger to this kind of competition. He knows how to bench. And unfortunately, might have just got a little bit too misgrooved there on that opening attempt.
But like you said, he has been to many, many Bench National Championships. I'm sure he probably knows what is going on, and he will come back for that second or third attempt.
His first Bench National Championship was in 2009. And he has been at Bench Nationals every year basically since then. So, like you said, no stranger to the platform here. Obviously knows how to bench. So we'll see him back for that second attempt.
Well, it's just interesting to see that even the most seasoned of competitors will still, especially in equipped lifting, make misgrooves and mistakes, because they do happen, especially in equipped. It is very common to see.
Here's Robert Evans. And now, I don't know if you've been listening to all the accolades that I'm throwing out about all these lifters in this flight, but this is a stacked flight, ladies and gentlemen. Robert Evans making short work here. Oh, you know, he hit that rack on that left side. If we were able to see the replay, that left arm there just hit the J hook right on the ascent there.
Yeah, let's see
watch here.
See it.
So we're smooth to the chest, we get the touch, and we just came a little bit too far back. And that happens. It really does. That happens to raw lifters. That happened to me 2 days ago. It happens. That's just one of those things. Now we've got Mr. Baron Henderson. Again, not a stranger to nationals.
Looks like he is retaking his first attempt of 200 kilos. Let's see if he can come back to get that.
Having compete, and Baron might be one of our longest tenured powerlifters on the platform, folks. He's competed since 1995 in junior nationals. And then the following year in collegiate nationals. So he's been competing since the early 90s, folks.
Oh, that was very fast.
A lot of lifters this day and age have been lifting for 2, 3, maybe 4 years. I myself have only been lifting for about 6 or 7. I can't even fathom 30. I cannot fathom being able to bench for 30 years.
Consistently, and not getting burnt out from it. That is a very...
Exactly, to do it healthily.
Yes.
Gary Pamplin, again, another one of our Masters lifters. Everyone else in the rest of this flight has been to Nationals for many, 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 many years. Gary Pamplin, actually, his earliest meet we're seeing is back in 1982. So I actually lied. He might beat out Barron for our most seasoned lifter on the platform today. And I mean 451 pounds, folks. I mean, kids my age struggle to even put up 315. And for Gary to be able to come in at a master's level and to be able to hit this just goes to put into context how strong these lifters are across the board. There's Brian Scott waiting in the wings here for his second attempt bench at 490 pounds. Brian Scott had his career lasting all the way back to 1998 for the Tennessee Open Bench Press in Deadlift Championship.
Looks like he's taking only a 2.5 kilo jump from his first attempt. Playing it pretty safe, trying to go for 3 for 3, taking these smart attempt choices.
Now this is 490 pounds. This is significantly more than he hit at the Arnold Masters of Iron Bench earlier this year. He was only able to lock down 440 pounds, and today he solidifies 490 pounds.
Yes, 1 blue card for downward motion from the head ref, but 2 whites from the sides. 2-1 is a good lift. Looks like he hit a little bit of a sticking point when it came a little towards his face, but only 1 downward motion is a good lift. Only 1 call from a ref.
And, we were alluding to just a little bit earlier that there are checks, like this is a money meet, and so there are cash prizes to be given out for our lifters today in both the men's and the women's side. We've got 500 for our first place winner.
Yes, and these are for overall lifters.
Then
so,
we've got, go ahead, sorry.
All right, sorry. Yeah, so the best overall lifter, not just in weight classes. These people need to be across all classes. The best lifter here. First place will get 500. Second overall will get 350, and third place will get 250. So at this meet, not only are there checks up for grabs, but then there are the pro cards up for grabs as well.
Nick also competed earlier this year at the Arnold Bench Bash. He was able to get 617.3, and with 20 kilo jumps, he might be pretty close to that. I wonder if he was able to finish the lockout for this one, and he was.
3 white lights.
And he was. That's another thing that's kind of hard to see, especially once you get into equipped benching, is where that lockout especially is, because that shirt goes so close to the elbow. It is tougher to see for our referees, especially in this kind of dark lighting that we have.
And you have to allow for lifters, you know, someone can be locked out. They can be shaking even if they're still locked out. So having that eye to tell what is just a shaky arm versus what would be an unlocked arm. But in his case, he got 3 whites from all refs.
You are reading that correctly, ladies and gentlemen. Jeffrey Snyder, 622.8 pounds. This is just 2.5 kilos below his all-time equipped bench record.
This looks like it is getting close to 3 times his body weight almost. Oh,
so he started to fall back towards the head there one more time. And not for nothing, Jeffrey Snyder has also been in this situation before. There's been a couple of meets where he has missed those first 2 attempts, or he's missed those last 2 attempts. And so being a seasoned lifter, he knows what to do going into this third attempt. He knows what he's got to fix. And it really, truly, like the strength was there, just like he started to fade towards the head just a little bit too quick. And we are on our last second attempt bench. Folks, we've got Mr. Tim Anderson, Midland Powerlifting head coach, USAPL Hall of Famer.
Taking the same weight as Jeffrey Snyder, just took 282.5 kilos, which is, again, 622.8 pounds.
This is my all-time squat PR, and he is about to bench it for a second attempt. And I've never been more embarrassed in my life to say that that was my top-end squat. Tim Anderson making it look like child's play, quite literally.
3 white lights for him.
Wow. I don't have words. Folks, we've made it. We're now on to our final attempts for the bench press for Flight C for session 3, day 1 of the 2024 USA Powerlifting Youth Bench and Equipped National Championships. So after this round of attempts, we will be calling out our award winners, and we will see you bright and early tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. But first, Mr. Robert Evans is going to retake 135 here. And he is one of our Masters 4 lifters, so he's between the ages of 70 and 79.
If I remember, on his second attempt, he almost got that lockout, but it looked like he nicked that rack. So if he can get this one down. Oh,
I got him again. Now I wonder if that might be, it looked like he set up pretty close to the head of the bench, a little bit closer than he did the last time there, so I wonder if that might have had an effect on that bar path.
It could have.
Obviously, if you set up closer to the direction of the head spotter, the head referee, that does bring you closer to the rack, and so you do run that risk. But here's Mr. Gary Pamplin, 462 pounds.
Gary's taking a 5 kilo or about a 10-pound jump from his second to his third attempt, going from 205 to 210.
And this will be a 5-kilogram PR for him if he makes this 5-kilo PR off of his Masters World Cup bench press of 451.
That looked like a good lift to me. Let's see what the judges call it. 3 white lights.
Very
that
nice.
was a good lift. He went 3 for 3 benches today.
While we're getting that bar loaded up, we've got Mr. Brian Scott coming up next. Going for 496 pounds. Just looking to add onto his already insane almost 40 kilogram PR. So 496 pounds for his last bench attempt. Let's see what he's got.
Oh, got it off the chest, but couldn't quite lock it out.
All right, folks, up next, Mr. Baron Henderson.
225 kilos or 496 pounds. Almost 500 pounds on the bar today.
Mr. Johnson. Way to go, coach. Way to go, coach. Here comes the Baron.
All right, Baron getting set up under the bar here. This is
It
just
looks like if this lift is successful, he will move from second and into first place in his class. See what the judges say.
That was clean. That was only 5 kilos under his all-time best.
3 white lights. Looks looks like he just moved into first place in both Masters and Open 125 kilo equipped bench class.
Yep, it was him versus Scott there for that bench press. So Baron able to come out on top there. Up next is Mr. Nick Benrakis. This is going to put him into first place for the men's 110 kilo weight class. Or sorry, I read that completely wrong. I apologize. Mr. Nick is going to solidify his place in second place. I'm sorry. The first place winner for the 110s is Mr. Robert Evans. Oh, wait. No, I'm reading that wrong. That's the wrong age division. Never mind. I'm going to focus on lifting. 622.8 pounds is on the bar, ladies and gents. Now,
we are getting into the last few lifts for the night.
And we are going to finish with a bang. These are the heaviest weights on the bar of the entire day. We get to the chest.
Oh.
Started to fall back towards the head just a little bit too early. Like we said earlier, with the bench press, that up and back motion is going to be ever so emphasized. And just, like I said, the slightest mishap with timing, and it could fare dangerously. And
right
luckily,
there.
we do have all of our spotters. So.
Yeah, elbows flared out just a little bit towards the face.
Now
but
up next
he did
here.
get his second attempt of 262. Coming up is Jeffrey Snyder, retaking the weight he just took. He needs this third bench to get a bench for the meet. 282.5 kilos, which is 622 pounds.
And I do apologize. Nick Benrakis earlier is up against Mr. Tim Anderson in the men's open 110 kilo class. But before we get there, Mr. Jeff Snyder, he does need this lift in order to post a bench for the day.
Oh, looks like he could
be a
not
no
finish
lift.
that today.
And like we said, folks, missing all of the lifts missing all the attempts for a lift is not uncommon, especially in equipped powerlifting. Like we said, because of those movement constraints, because everything is so dependent upon the timing, the technique, it's a lot more common for this to happen. Now, here's Mr. Tim Anderson. 287 kilos, ladies and gents. This will be the heaviest weight on the bar, arguably for the whole rest of the weekend. 633 pounds for the head coach of Midland Powerlifting, putting on a spectacle, a masterclass for his students, no doubt watching on at home and across the country. Tim Anderson, Hall of Famer for USA Powerlifting, going for his last bench press to send us off on a solid note.
His first two attempts moved amazingly, so let's see how he can do this third.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think we might have it. 633, the lift is good. 2-1. The celebration is there, ladies and gentlemen. We have finished strong, folks. What a finish. What an insane finish there from Mr. Tim Anderson. Let's watch that back. Like he's been here before, very slow, soft touch to the chest. Easily had another 10 kilos plus in him. Insane. Dare I say he could have gotten 650. That would have been insane.
Very nice celebration to finish off our night from him.
Exactly. And folks, if you've been hearing my voice all day, well, you're going to hear a little more because we're not done yet. We're going to have to sign you off. We've had some phenomenal action across the board today. I mean, with starting off our first two sessions with our youth lifters, and then coming into this last session here with our equipped benching. American records broken, world records broken, hearts broken. But overall, phenomenal competition across the board from lifters across all age groups. We've got lifters as young as Teen 2 and as old as Masters 4. And just to prove to you people at home, you're never too late to start powerlifting. You're never too old. And
Not
there's
even to
always an
mention
opportunity.
the youth lifters that we saw early this morning.
Exactly like you were saying, like even our youth lifters, to be able to, you're never too young as well. All right, folks, and so with that, I believe Tim Anderson will be our winner of the Equipped Bench National Championship. So he will be our best overall bencher. Looking at the dots points, he came away with, let me see here, he came away with
127.7
oh,
dots.
nope, 171.
Never mind.
Because that was the 125. So he came away with a bench dots of 171, which is nutty.
No.
So he will come away with the big fat check of $500.
Some of us might be used to full power dots, thinking, 400, 500. In my mind, 100 is kind of equivalent to 400 when you're looking at bench dots.
Absolutely.
So 171 bench dots is a crazy number to hit.
That is professional level at its finest. That is professional level. That is prime time level.
Talking about professional level, he should be either getting or renewing an equipped bench pro card. So he is at that professional level.
Oh, if he's not renewing, it's definitely his. There's no question about that one.
He did win his open class. He placed first for men's equipped open 110 and one of the masters class.
That's right. Well, folks, it looks like we've got Miss Alicia Webb is going to be our best lifter on the ladies' side for the equipped lifting, followed by Miss Natalie Richards. So Alicia will come home with the big old $500, and Natalie Richards will come behind with the $350 check. And then in third place, we've got Miss Sophie Veras. Again, if you listen to this back, sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. But what a phenomenal competition we've had all across the board today. And folks, this is not the end. We've got 2 more whole days of action. You're going to hear my voice. You might not hear Katie's voice, but you're going to hear my voice the whole weekend. But I am signing off for now. My name is Nick Stevens.
And my name is Katie DeGuider.
And we will see you tomorrow morning. Peace and blessings.